a lot of people will kind of, I guess, understand that hormones are the biggest factor in this particular stage of perimenopause and menopause, and they would be right. It actually is what we're referring to as a neuroendocrine event. So it very much, and a lot of people think our hormones kind of start in our ovaries, but our brain, as always, is the control center. So all of this actually starts in the brain. Hence, it's both a neuroendocrine event. But I guess a couple of things kind of come from that, in that the neuroendocrine event, as I said, can actually either exacerbate symptoms and pre-existing mental health issues, or they can actually cause them. And, in some ways, if we think of other mental health issues, there is often a really strong biological basis to it. And, perhaps we just throw an SSRI at someone and hope that that sorts everything out. But we often know that that's not enough. And we often know that as mental health professionals, and more kind of that talk therapy, body-based therapy approach that many of us have, that's the icing on the cake, is that we can take we can intervene at a medical level. And in terms of the menopausal transition, that means we can start looking at taking hormones if that's something women or people with ovaries, want to do and can do, because sometimes it's not possible due to other health issues. So that can happen. And yet there's still ways that we can support people through this particular transition, whether it's because they're having mental health challenges or they're subclinical or whatever. In addition to that, as I mentioned, some people don't wish to go down that path, or some people can't go down the path of hormone therapy. And that's when, we also very, very much have a role. And I guess the final thing I want to say is why it's not just a kind of medical issue is we bring ourselves to this particular stage of life. And no amount of medical intervention alone is going to fix the relationship that perhaps already had cracks in it, change our patterns, change our schemas, our maladaptive coping strategies. No amount of hormones is going to stop us from feeling terribly upset as our parents age and become unwell and perhaps pass away. There's both the beauty for those of us who have children of our kids growing up and becoming independent, and there's also a sense of loss. So all of this hormonal stuff is actually happening typically in midlife, where all these other natural but can be sometimes painful and stressful events are occurring, and we bring ourselves to this particular stage of life. And often that version of ourselves is not particularly well prepared and equipped to best support us during what is and can be a really, really rocky time. The rates of suicide for women, and I'm specifically using women now because that's the data that we've got, are the highest age range where women's suicide is between 45 and 55. And for a long time, we didn't make the connection that these were also the years where we were experiencing such a hormonal shift. We have a lot to offer. It isn't just a medical kind of problem nor solution. We must take a biopsychosocial, cultural lens and approach to supporting women through this particular life stage, which, as I said, can be as long as 5 to 15 years before there's some stability.